Hmm. All right, all right. Hello, welcome back. Hi, everyone. Hi. So, people in the back, can you hear me? Cool. All right. Now, WebEx. WebEx people, can you hear me? Hello. Answer yet? Oh, we're just starting to join. Well, okay. All right. So, welcome back. Now, you know what? Did you have other class that you like dress up in costume to the class? Something like that? No? Stop? No? No fun? I mean, you know what? This class we used to do that. So, well, that is like before COVID, though. And well, I have like extra credit if someone like dress up, and then we have a lot here to come down here. And um, then well, but not this time. So this time we just want people to be a little bit scattered around, right? Not so condensed. So that looks a lot of fun though. But anyway, okay. So today, well, on Tuesday, I did show you um, the good way to access data from either CSV file or Access database, right? Now, today there's two big topics. The first one will show you how you can grab multiple sheets and then throw them into a data model and then create a relationship. And Power Pivot can access that, and you can do pivot table across those like multiple data source. Now, this is actually a main or a fundamental um, structure for data collection. I mean, for data storage. And we will use this throughout the rest of the semester, which is really important, and it's already become industry standard for so many years. So I will show that on Real Excel first, and then I will show you on the simulation training number 2, and then for simulation training number 3 of chapter 10, it will be a 3D map chart, which is really cool. It's really fancy, really cool. I've been looking for this for quite some time, and then but even last summer, I've been looking for this. Didn't realize that Excel already have this as an updated feature. So it's very cool, and it will be useful. Well, it's really useful for sure. Now, so I will start with the concept of normalization data. So basically, you have table, right? And when you have a lot of duplicate data, that cause multiple problems. And so we should not keep all the data on our business data there. So we should split them up, and we should deduplicate them and then link them with relationship. Then after that, we can just extract anything, and everything will be much better. So, and how and why we do that, I will just show you. So again, in chapter 10, if you remember, then I talked about like 3 project files. So again, download them, and then I will combine them. I will link them together to show you. Now, in these 3 files, they're basically kind of intentional to make it like a different format, but it actually are similar things that we want to combine. And let's see what it's like. So for me, well, for you, you can just download them, and then for me, I already download those stuff. So it will look something like this: client info.csv, which is, well, by the way, when you first open up with Excel, you have to save as the XLSX. So now you can save, you can keep other things. All right, so we have client information. So let's take a look here. We have client information, and seems like account is the account number. The account number, well, for any data, basically we look for some some unique column, normally some running number, and we want to use that as an ID, right? Which just makes sense. So that unique column, name could sometimes people have the same name, but that's fine if we have like different IDs. So that's all right. So we're looking for one unique column to identify anything, right? A list of client, a list of product, a list of transaction, sales transaction that we have. Well, basically anything. Now, if you think of yourself as a student in Iowa State, then you have a student ID. You have net ID and student ID. Both of them are actually unique. So either of them can be used as a primary key. So it's called primary key in database, which we are going to go to that pretty soon. Right? But now let's just call that an ID. So seems like this is just basically a list of client, first name, last name, the city, state, and some earning of each client. And the column called account, it's account number. Now, in order to combine all this data into a data model and be able to extract them, then we have to, well, in your Excel, you have to reach out to those data. So another files that I have, it's text. Another one, it's a database file. So transaction, in this chapter, they happen to be in Access database file. But when you click inside this transaction table, it's pretty much the same thing, right? Now, we are not into a database portion of this course yet, but I will just transfer this data into Excel. There's a couple ways, right? The proper way is actually the one that I showed you on Tuesday, that you can do data, get data from Access, and we'll just create a connection and transfer it in. Another way that I just show you, pretty quick way, is you can, you can just select this thing and Control C to copy, and you can just paste in Excel. Well, this one doesn't create any connection. It doesn't maintain connection at all. So you just basically copy something and paste it to another place, and it works. So I'd like to show you like alternative way that you can do. Now let's take a look here. So this is basically our main data in this situation. So think of this: if you are storing some company, if you're working for a company or you have a small business, like the bare minimum way that you can keep your data is keep your transaction, right? Sales transaction, and this is that. So we have some transaction ID, which is your column. We have the date. We have account number, first name, last name of customer. Now, by the way, this starting to create a problem here. Let me come back. And we have commodities, which is seems like this company is somewhat investment firm maybe, or a broker firm. So the product, it's a different kind of commodities. Client can invest or buy those commodities, and on some kind of amount, purchase price, selling price, and the broker ID. So we also seem to have broker, that multiple broker that work with us. So treat this as like a sales rep. I think that makes sense. So let's say if you're selling something, a small company, and then you have multiple sales reps, then when each sales transaction happens, then we of course want to keep track of that. We want to store that information. So we set up some running number, some transaction ID, date, time, amount, and then who's the client, what is the product, and who is the sales rep, right? That is bare minimum that we can do. Okay, so this table will basically like center table that we have, and then let me rename this to the transaction. All right, now, and let me bring another one, which is broker info.txt. This is the same file that I showed you on Tuesday. Now, this one is text file. You know what? Another trick is, well, to properly import this, you can just go to data and get data, and then you tell them that, okay, this is tab separated. Within the name, then you want to like split column, if you remember what we did on Tuesday. But let me show you another way that a lot of people like to do it, because more straightforward, but it requires like multiple manual tasks. So I basically just copy this text and I'm just going to paste it here. It's worked, but not perfect. So there's a lot of things that we need to fix. So let's take a look. So I just copy and paste it. Well, Excel kind of be able to detect that it's a tab separated. So there's separate column by a tab for me. That's a good thing. But then name, it's still well, in the same column. So let me just split this up. Before I do that, I have to go insert some blank cell here. But this one, you can go to data and do text to column. This is a pretty famous features. People use that all the time. I use that a lot. So I want to split it up by space. So I'll do that. And looks good. So last name is just shift here. So I will just rename that as last. First. Now, city and state is still look messing up still. So I would like to split them up again, but maybe by comma. So let's do text to column again. Now let's try comma. So first, if you split it by space, it's gonna be pretty messy because it's not consistent like space. So I don't think space is good delimiter. So here now comma is look much better. And okay, I got a comma here and I got another piece there. And look like I have to split it up again, state and zip code. That would make sense. Now, there's something tricky here. So if you do space, then if you do general, then if you can see, then the zip code is some missing. So I think prior, we got some zero in front, and we can't retain that because it's forces to become like take numerical data. So let me redo that. Let me go back. Let me do a split. Okay, I still use the space, but then on that zip code one, I can just explicitly say that it's supposed to be text, not numerical. So that's why they keep all the zeros in place. Okay, so all the zeros is still in place because zip code it should be like that. Okay, delete this and I name this one as zip. So that should look fine. Now let's see. Oh, there's three tables again, three sheet again. So I would say that transaction is the main table here, and um, we can link to client and we can link to broker. So for broker, we only have broker ID, which is good. And then whatever is detail about broker, we can just put it in here. We have broker ID and then we can have all kind of detail about each particular broker, which is great. I think this is the best idea. Now, name that broker. How about client? So right now we still have account, first name and last name. So let me show you the big problem if you just store things in the giant table. It's first you got a lot of duplicate data. It's waste of space when you save the file. And it also lead to a big problem. It's called inconsistent. And we'll talk about inconsistent a lot in database portion. So inconsistent is what? So as you can see here, for example, the first client that we have, Eric Baker, he come back and purchase multiple times, right? Multiple times. Now, if you keep storing the name Eric Baker like this, then maybe at some point, maybe in future, then someone who key in this data, maybe the misspell um, Eric Baker name, last name. Well, that is maybe uncommon, right? Let me give another example. That maybe Eric Baker, we also store his address and phone number right in here as a separate column. And at some point, if someone typo, make a wrong phone number, then we would never know that which one is correct. So if you have multiple a record number and another one that is different, then okay, we can tell that the one that has a lot of similar for most of the time, then it should be the correct number. But if you just have two occasion, then you can't tell which one is correct. So that's it's the problem of inconsistent data, and we don't need to do that. So basically, we just split this by just copy this portion, put it on a new table just like that, and then we deduplicate that table. So we have one row for Eric Baker and then one row for each customer basically. And for here, we just delete all the detail of the client. We just only keep the ID, and that's all. So main table, we keep the ID of other table, keep ID of other tables, and then we just make a relationship and link to them. Okay. Now let's suppose that I prep my data here as my three tables nicely. And then let's say if I want to create a Power Pivot, then I would just do this. So first of all, Power Pivot is not here by default, so you have to add them in. Power Pivot, it's here. So come add in, add Power Pivot, and you will see that there's menu up there. And then next step is you have to manually add each of your data range into a data model like that. You click, it will show that, okay, this is your range. And I click OK, it will show preview. And looks good. I have column head as the top on the top, and I can close it. And this, Power Pivot, add to data model. Click OK, looks good to me, and it's just create a name as a table 2, which is not good. I should rename this thing, but I can do that later. So for broker, same thing. Power Pivot, add to data model. Looks like that. All right. Looks good so far. So let me go to Power Pivot and do manage. So I get to see these three sheet here. Table 1, 2, and 3. And I should rename that. Okay. Then I should create a relationship. Right now there's no relationship between them. Right? So my table 1, it's happened to be transaction. And what I need to do is create relationship between this account to that account because it's account number, right? So I can create relationship like that, but it actually my transaction should be the main side of relationship. So delete. Now this might be look a little bit. We might go too fast in this relationship model here, but let me do something else. How about I don't create relationship, and I would like to show you what's going to happen. Now, 3 of this data is already in the model. Right? So let me just go ahead and create a pivot table. So I would just go insert and oh, where's my pivot tables? Things go. Okay. This is regular pivot table. I think we can just go to here. Okay, pivot table. Well, this is Power Pivot tools that can taking care of multiple data sources. All right, so I got a Power Pivot or pivot table that is using Power Pivot, and now you can see that there's 3 tables here. Let me try to let me show like the amount purchased by customer. How about that? So I'm trying to find my customer names, which is this one, maybe their first name. And I want to make that as a row of pivot table. Okay, here's they make a list of all unique customer that they have. And maybe selling price from here and put it as value. All right. So making a pivot table for me, but there's obviously something wrong. So our numbers are the same. Obviously wrong, something wrong. So basically, I haven't created a relationship, so Excel doesn't really doesn't know that how they should relate this table together. And well, over here on your right, you can see that Excel also warned you that okay, relationship between tables may be needed. You can auto detect, but I would suggest you that you create manually. So we need two relationship here, from transaction to client, and also from transaction to broker. So first, from transaction, which is first one, to using account as account number, to the client using account field as well. Looks good. And then I can click OK, and then I can create another one. Oh, if you want to see relationship, you can go back home, data, and then relationship 2 is here. And now we have one. We need another one. Transaction, broker, to broker, and broker ID. So this one will link to broker. Now, when I click that, as you can see, my data is changed right away. So it means that they be able to connect all these three table, and now it's working well. So you can just go ahead and manipulate your pivot table. It's going to be able to extract data from all these three tables. So always when you have multiple data source, then you just need to have a relationship in place. All right. So I hope that makes sense. Now let me show you based on the simulation training, and they will do the similar things, but since it's simulation training, so it's kind of limited on something that you can or cannot do. So you have to follow the instruction a little bit. Okay, so chapter 10, simulation training, exercise 2, simulation training. So we'll show you number 2 and 3 today. Okay, open that up, and then it just, well, they're basically doing similar thing that I'm just show you earlier. So for questions here, first step is just click insert tab and add in the power pivot. So you know what? You can add things in from here, option, add in, or you can just do insert and manage add in, and also manage other add in here. It's go to the same place. And then just got the chance to come add in, and power pivot for Excel is this one. Click that, click OK, then you got new menu up there. All right, now next, it's add data to data model. So we basically select the whole range. They want transaction first. Let me try this one first. Would they admit or not? Probably, yeah. So they want you to add transaction first. Okay, transaction. And by the way, in this Excel file, they already bring in all the three tables to their own sheet. So I select the whole thing, click add to model, and now it looks good. So I close that. Then I go to the broker. Where's this one? Select the whole range, add to data model as well. Looks good to me. Click close, and then I go to client and select the whole thing and add to data model. Click close. Okay. So now all three should be in data model. And the next step is create relationship. Of course, we need to have those relationship in place. So let's go to data, and usually relationship 2 is in data, and it will be this one. Same buttons as my Excel, but this one is like smaller. So you need to add two. First, transactions to what? Client by using account number. And then another one will be client info for sure, and then gonna be account. Right? Click OK. Now you have that relationship. Well, real life, I will click new to add another one, but this one want me to close first and open it up again. It's fine. Transaction again, and this time broker. So I would definitely use broker ID here to tell them that it's the same thing as the broker ID on the broker table. Okay, looks like that. Click OK, and should be good to go. So we have two relationship to those two tables already. Now next step is we're gonna create pivot table using that Power Pivot. All right, so click Power Pivot and in data model group manage, and it should be that pivot table. Okay, now in this case they already have sheet one, and they want me to create Power Pivot on sheet one in cell A1. So I'm just gonna have to go to cell A1 of the sheet one and place a new pivot table there. Something like that. And it will place on top left. All right. So now we have pivot table placed on cell A1. And then now this is a step of question number 4. So still in question number 4. Now they want you to expand this transaction. As you can see, you have all three tables here. So they want date as a filters. Date here to be a filters. We don't really use that right now. But then next step is in broker table. They want what last name basically as a row. So basically we are seeing like a performance of our broker. So last name put down to rows, and now we get to see a list of the broker last name, right? Now add commodities field from transaction table to column box. So we want to break this down to commodities, which is basically kind of like a type of product on the column side. Then add selling price to value. Okay. Now apply accounting format for B5 to E10, which is the whole thing here. So I go back to home and accounting format. All right. Now on the sheet one, worksheet create a cluster column chart. So this one is a bit tricky. So if you keep selecting this, then you can create a cluster column chart, fine. But I did try something else. So if you click away, then you will lose the abilities to work with the pivot table tools. So you have to go back here. And if you didn't select the whole range, then you won't be able to create a chart. So for example, let me show you. If I want to insert a pivot chart, then it will be incorrect. So I have to select the whole data and create a pivot chart. Now I could. So if we use this data to create a pivot chart, and then you just click OK, and there you go. So you got a cluster column chart, which is basically telling that who based on your broker. So this is different of your broker. Can be is sold bond the most. Jones is sold like stock the most, or well, so on and so forth. So now we get data across this table. Okay, and the last step here is rename this sheet to sales analysis. All right, and that is the end of this one. Oh, someone asked something. The quiz today? Nope. I work on quiz questions, and I'd like people to do a different data set and do Power Pivot things, but it's take much more time than I anticipate. So I might announce quiz throughout weekend and have plenty of time to do that, and maybe submit that on next class or something. So you should be having plenty of time, so don't worry about that right now. Now, let me show this one, exercise number 3. This is pretty cool. It is a 3D map chart. And you know what? I've been looking for something like this. And so let me tell you a backstory of it a bit. So just in this past summer, so of course, a team in the workshop program is called Data Science for Public Good. So it's a program on campus. I mean, it remotely though, but it's kind of like a paid intern. So you guys can apply for next year, next summer. So everybody's get paid, just like paid intern. Now we tackle problems of public good, which is like public problems, sometimes the city's problem that we can use data science to solve. Now, last time we worked on a team to help the organization called Eat Greater Iowa, which is a food bank, kind of food bank. It's a food donation. So it's based in Des Moines, and then sometimes you have like extra amount of food. I mean, new food, not like leftover. Sometimes there's a party. Sometimes there's like grocery store that is like have more food than they can sell. Now, this organization matched that with the food recipient, which is people who in need. And we kind of make system to matchmaking, so those foods is not go wasted. Right? So things like that. Now, at the end of the program, that we rushing making like a visualization, and our team we only have like 2 hours left, and I like them to create some kind of chart that is based on map, because I want to show that which location have like how much food levels, things like that. But then it couldn't find a good tool that fit the time. I mean, we don't have time to like write a Python visualization. Is take days at least. So I didn't know that Excel have that, and Excel actually just have it updated. Now another option is like Tableau or something that is expensive license, and then people who can just watch, who can just see our visualization, they also have to pay for the license. That would be a bad idea, right? So basically, Excel just updated this. It's very easy to make, and it's really cool to look. So let's see. I am glad that Excel have this. Well, finally. So it's a map chart. So it is not will come in by default. So again, you have to add it in. Add in, add in again, and it's called Microsoft Power Map for Excel. So add that in. Now, into a client worksheet. So in this sample, they don't want to mess with like multiple tables, data model, or anything. They will just focus on just this client table. And what they're going to plot chart, it's just like number of clients and their cities. Of course, when we want a map chart, then it have to be like geolocation, location based, right? And then some earning amount of each client. So something simple, based on one table. Just to show you how what can it be done. So okay, they want me to select the whole thing, I think. Yep, and then click 3D map, which is just in insert. So this is like regular chart that we have, and then this one is just appear 3D map. Okay, and it just bring you like both style, which is cool, right? Now the rest is the tools to craft this map. Now, when you want to plot a map chart, then it is basically you have some location-based data, right? And then you have some amount to show as a value. So we like to make like a bar, right? Or a column bar based on map location. So definitely location information and then something as a value of each location. Okay, now here they want me to drag city field from the client info, which is here, and we add that to a field. So we need a location field, obviously, because it's map chart. And then so they just basically plot based on those city names. The good thing is you don't have to even find actual that long information and feed that to Excel. Excel is already mapped those city name, state name with location. They're kind of behind the scene. Now, next thing is just drag earning field. Now, this one is going to be value or the height of the bar. Right? So earning field to height. Name it's just pretty straightforward. So now we got like bar according to those cities. Cool. And the next one, let me explain. They want you to use the what? Account field. So account, it actually account to the categories and it's make different colors. So it's cool that it make different colors, but in real life you have to be careful a little bit. If I'm looking at this chart, I would not agree with the way they do it here. So your account, it's actually an ID. Okay, you can use that as category. So it's make it as like categorical column, and it gives you different colors. That looks fine, look nice, maybe it looks better. But then the first question that I would have, and I think a lot of people would have, is what is this? Each of these colors mean? Is that color scale? The lighter colors mean something less than darker colors, or all kind of that maybe pop into my to my head, right? But in this case, they don't have any meaning because we just happen to use ID. So it looks nice, fancy, candy-ish, but doesn't mean anything, right? And another part you have to be careful when you use when you're trying to shoot out different color. It could be a little bit misleading because different colors could lead to people to perceive it differently, right? Lighter color, for example, like yellow, maybe people might perceive that less than like more pronounced color, like darker color or maybe red. So darker or more pronounced color may be perceived as bigger amount, something like that. So just have to be careful. Anyway, it looked fancy, it looked nice though, but it just doesn't have any meaning based on those colors. Just so you're aware. So now next step is close the field list. We don't need that, so we close. And then right click on layer one legend and click remove. So basically when you split things into categories, then of course they will show you legend as well. So it might be better if you split this by based on the sales transaction, like bond, CD, or basically product categories, and then it has color based on those categories. But that would not related to client. Anyway, so that's for another time. This time we just remove this. And next step is pretty cool. So this is 3D, right? So it can move around. And this does make a fancy presentation, which is nice. Now, they want you to drag this into a middle a little bit. So it's kind of feel like more East Coast that we like to focus the whole country or at least be close to a whole country or something like that. And then click new scene. So now we can make multiple scenes here by click new scene. Now it look like PowerPoint now. So in PowerPoint, we can have multiple slides, right? And then we can have animations. Before you showing next slide, then you can have something fly in, you can have something faded out or something like that. So this is pretty similar to that, but they call a scene. So now we're gonna make a transitioning from scene 1 to scene 2. And what's different if we just go ahead and do that when it transitions, which is making like a cool effect though when you present. Now they want you to click zoom in, so you get to see that we can zoom in, and then they actually do like 5 zoom in, and then I think tilt down, which is tilt like this, and then rotate right. And now rename this scene to rename scene 1 to overview. So I think go to scene option. If there's a need. All right. And then change the scene duration here to 4. and then use the flyover effect. Oh, that's it. Now, when you add those effects, then you can click play, just like PowerPoint. So when I click play, then it would just transition from scene 1 to scene 2, which is pretty cool, right? So it would just try to go to match scene 2, and let's make like such a nice fancy presentation. Okay, and then you can close this by this arrow and close this map thing, and it's done. All right, so try it out, and it's pretty cool feature, fancy stuff, and I hope that is useful. All right, so any question? Good? No good? So, I might have some quiz each that may be released by announcement, but we have you plenty of time to do, or maybe I give that next week, and maybe content related to this week or previous week. All right, but we don't have anything right now. Thank you, everyone. So, happy Halloween. See you next week. Yay.